Disabilities Issues and Updates on BCTV is supported by the Berks County Center for Independent Living, Abilities in Motion.
Good morning and welcome to Disabilities, Issues, and Updates. I am Teresa Faulkner, your host, and it's wonderful to see you this morning. I am the Consumer Community Outreach Coordinator at Abilities in Motion. We are located at 210 North 5th Street, Reading, Pennsylvania. The zip code is 19601. Please note that our office is not open to the public. However, we are available. If you need to contact us, the number is 610-376-0010. And if you want to speak to me, my direct extension is 108, or just push O for the operator. I was really serious when I said it is so good to see you this morning. And who can believe this is our last broadcast for 2020? This year has certainly flown by. But I could talk forever about time and issues, but we have a show this morning. We want to welcome always Elizabeth Setterly, who is our language interpreter. And our special guest for today is our own Tanya Mack. Tanya is the certified peer specialist at Abilities in Motion. We have started a new program. And so Tanya is here to explain everything about our certified peer specialist. Tanya, it's wonderful to have you this morning. So good to see you.
You as well, since we only get to see each other virtually in passing at work. So
Wonderful, wonderful. Looks like today I'm working from the office and you're working from your office at home.
Yes.
Anyway, we have this wonderful new program at Abilities in Motion, which is entitled the Certified Peer Specialist. And Tanya is going to explain to us some things about our new program. Tanya, take it away.
Okay, so there's so much to say, and as you said, time is limited. So I want to share a few things. First, about peer support. A little brief history. Peer support came along mostly in the late 60s, 70s, when they were closing down the mental institutions, the asylums, things of that nature. Although the America was on board about how the people were being treated in those facilities, the after step was overlooked. So all thousands of people were put on the street to fend for themselves. Mm-hmm. With no ability to cook, clean, sometimes bathe, all of that. As a result, a lot of them ended up in jails, other institutions, or even death if family members were unable to help them.
Tanya, there might be some viewers that are watching this morning that are not aware that there was a time if you had a disability, you were actually institutionalized. It's so good to know that that's not the case today. People do have choices.
Right. And mm-hmm. Anyone, and that's the beauty about peer support, because we stand on the belief that anyone can get well and stay well for long periods of time.
Wonderful.
And however, there's just some things that you have to do and be willing to do to get to that place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So today I'm going to, answer a few questions and in a short, as brief as I can, what the program at Abilities in Motion, coupled with peer support around other services in the community, and how it's helping so many people. I guess what I would like to start off with, when I talk about recovery and wellness in the aspect of peer support, I'm talking about recovery as a unique, self-determined, holistic journey that people would undertake in their own paths to heal and grow towards wellness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when I talk about wellness, I'm talking about the active process of becoming aware. So the awareness of what may be wrong and making choices, healthy, positive choices for a fulfilling life.
Mm-hmm.
Wellness is more than being free from illness. It's the whole dynamic process of change and growth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when we take a look at that, and if we can pull up the 8 dimensions of wellness slide, please. If anyone could be able to see that, we use these 8 dimensions, which is our whole self, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So we deal with emotional, financial, social, spiritual, occupational, physical, intellectual, and environmental aspects of oneself. So what we try to do, because we know if you're lacking in one area, or dimension, it's going to affect other areas of your life. So take, for instance, occupational. If you lose your job, perhaps, that is going to affect you emotionally, financially, because, you may not have finances to pay your bills or whatever. So you may be the electric may be cut off. Therefore, it affects your environmental. And then a lot of times, if you're, having problems locating a job or financial or environmental, that's going to lead to some social unrest, and then maybe intellectual. You might be depressed, not motivated to do anything else. So, each one kind of sets off something for something else. In all the dimensions. So one of the things when we are supporting peers in the community, we want to make sure that their whole wellness is taken care of. And we love to use the 8 dimensions of wellness.
It brings about a question. So let's just say, for instance, because I am a spiritual being, if I had an overabundance of spiritual and lacked in those other dimensions, would that be a problem for me?
If you are a spiritual being, and you rely a lot on your spiritual faith, that can be a problem, because say if you're lacking in your spiritual guidance for some reason, maybe you attend church weekly. Well, not so much now because of the pandemic, but
absolutely,
in the after pandemic or pre-pandemic, you may not be as social with your church family. Or the people that you go to church with weekly, or you might not be answering the calls, or even we can even throw in the pandemic, because now a lot of people, when they're involved with the church, they're doing church activities with other people, and they're not able to get out and do as much. So that does affect their social, and that may in turn cause an emotional effect.
Okay.
So.
So in all of those 8 components of wellness, 8 dimensions of wellness, there has to be a balance in each. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because they're all interconnected. They all connect, one way or another to each other.
Okay. One of the things that I'm hearing, not only in our conversations at home, but on television, the mental health effect of this pandemic. The things that it's going to do and show up later in the lives of individuals. Is that true, Tanya?
Yes, it's very true. The CDC has a report out now, along with the health organization, that mental illness is on an uprise, and
Mhm.
and this is a good place and a good time in the segment to talk about the stigma. You know,
Yes.
a
Yeah.
lot of us, a lot of us have, some component of mental barriers.
Okay.
Some may be more severe than others. However, there is some in a lot of us.
Okay.
I
Okay.
like to think all of us, because somewhere, some point, everyone is not walking around in rainbows and all of that. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
no,
One of the things that I thought about is life, just persons living life, the good, the
right,
bad, the indifferent. And I remember myself actually going to my physician because I was really dealing with anxiety, almost to the point that it was just not normal. I
mhm,
could feel myself, I could feel my breathing. And I was so shocked to know that anxiety is a part of mental health.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And that's why I said, there is a touch in everyone. Everyone has, becomes anxious. Everyone has anxiety. It's how you cope with that. Um, is what mostly is what peer support is about,
Mm-hmm.
coping through, getting through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, someone kind of guiding you, cheering you on, motivating you to be your best self.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other components of being a peer support specialist is that you have to have lived experience. So it's
Really?
not just, yes, and I have my own lived experiences that I had to, work through and overcome to be who I am today.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so, some of the things, included, as a result of untreated or lack of information about my diagnosis, substance abuse, uh, some prison, sometimes, a lot of walls I had to hit on my journey, and which is
Mm-hmm.
why I have a passion for peer support today, because a lot of people don't have to go through that, not in this
Mm-hmm.
day and time. Back then the stigma was high. And I know in our culture it was very high. We just didn't go to we didn't go to the doctor. We didn't say that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and then back in the past, the family member that wasn't doing the best, was in the back room,
Mm-hmm.
hiding from, don't go up there. So and so's up there in the back room or at whatever. Um, so lucky for me, I was very functional.
Mm-hmm.
However, some, didn't have that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. So
Um,
what you're actually saying, Tanya, is that education, understanding, being honest is really key in you getting the necessary help in this mental health world. Because I remember some situations where you knew that something was wrong, but nobody wanted to talk about it. No,
right,
even now, when you say mental health, it's such a stigma that comes with that.
right.
And I like what you said, that in you not getting the help, it makes other things happen. It could cause you to be incarcerated. It could cause you to hurt some. There's a lot of things that people really don't understand, that untreated, it just leads to another and another and another.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
And that's correct. And the key that I like to take away that you said was talk. The more people talking about it, the less um, stigmatized it's going to be. The more
Mm-hmm.
people know, the more that people are talking, the more that people are getting engaged, the more people getting help. It can turn that around. Berks County is doing a wonderful job um, getting the information out there and the stigma about mental health, because it is real, and and because of the pandemic, as we said, it's a lot more people are going to have the effects of this pandemic. We're on their 8 dimensions of wellness, and uh, it's best to have a plan or some supports in place to overcome uh, the 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 barriers that mental health can bring to normal, everyday people and people
Mhm.
who have up to severe mental barriers.
And I think one of the things is that you have to actually believe yourself. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm thinking about a situation where when the pandemic happened and we were all sent home to work remotely, I remember in the beginning, first month was good, second month was good, but then all of a sudden it felt like the walls were closing in. And I remember I had an office in my home, but then I moved into the apartment because I needed more light. I needed more stimulation. And then when opportunity came for me to go back into the office, boy, I was excited. I was really excited because I am a people person. I like people. Now, I want to ask you a question. My husband and I always talk about this. He is considered what persons call an introvert. He loves being by himself. He can deal with people, but and I used to say, "What's wrong with you? Is that a part of mental health?"
Well, there are people who do, like to be alone, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what we have to take a look at, and which why education is so important, if a person is always alone, not answering the phones, not showering, not taking medications if prescribed, not eating, um, you noticing disheveledness,
Mm,
anything like that. Um, then you have to take a real look at that. Is that person enjoying being alone, or is there depression involved?
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
something so that's always something to look at. That's why we always are big on supporters, because other people can see sometimes what we can't see.
mhm,
um,
mhm,
so and then, when we talk about peer support and all the motivation and, inspiring, empowering, giving hope, and talking about self advocacy, speaking up for yourself, saying what you want, what you need, those kinds of things. One of the key components of that also is support.
mhm,
We do need support. I mean, a lot of times it's hard for people to reach out for support, to ask for it, to call someone on the phone. That's why, you need to have supporters so people can check in. Are you okay? I've noticed that you haven't been smiling lately. Are you okay? So it's everyone's job, or everyone can help one another.
mhm,
You
mhm.
know,
Yeah.
uh,
So if you see a person who might have the some of the symptoms of what you talked about, not washing or just being alone constantly, not responding, we have a responsibility to each other to be support for one
yeah,
another
to
because there
support
are
one
times. Yes,
another.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And now, certified peer support is a paid position.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but a lot of people times say, oh, it's like a rent a friend, or something of that nature. Well, maybe if the relationship goes in that direction. However, our main goal is to motivate, empower, and inspire hope.
Mm-hmm.
That you can get well and stay well for long periods of time. um, One of the newer things that's going on in the community is that other uh, services are really utilizing peer support.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
so, like, a lot of the mental health services are offering peer support. Uh, the beauty about peer support is, if you are seeing a therapist or a psychiatrist, you can still have peer support uh, service as well. It doesn't have to
Mm-hmm.
be in the same place. We have a great team at Abilities in Motion. So, if you're somewhere that doesn't offer peer support, absolutely, just give us a call and we can get you set up. It's a very easy process. All that, it's insurance paid. All you have to do or have is a mental health diagnosis, There's a few other things, like you could be coming out of prison or a institution. So there are a lot of different little things, but definitely make the call and see if one could be available for you, because it's such a great service. We work with substance abuse programs, and if we could put up the picture, slide 4, I believe, 3. We work with substance abuse services, case management services. So if you are a caseworker or a residential advisor, or you notice that someone needs a little additional support, a little cheering, a little motivating, someone to guide them in positive steps, absolutely give Abilities in Motion a call. We work with doctors, nurses, veterans, probation, parole, court. If you have court cases, I've been to plenty of court cases, advocating for peers, trying to get, a lot of judges are on board now. They understand what we're doing out here in the community. It's an evidence-based program. It works. We work with the schools. We work with employment places, housing services, getting, now I want to make clear that Abilities in Motion, we do not have a housing program. However, the peer support program will absolutely link the person up to the community services, because there's a wealth of housing services in Berks County, and we'll get you on all the lists and do what we need to do to get you financially able and in your independent living. And we also work with the people in the prisons. Yes, I communicate with inmates so that they're ready when they come home. They have a plan in place, starting right with peer support right from the door, first day. Positive steps for their reentry, so that we can not have a turnaround in going back into incarceration or back to the hospital. One of the key things too, we want to try to keep people out of the prisons and out of the hospital. We want them to be productive as they can be, as independent as they can be in the community.
I wanted to ask you, I was thinking about something, Tanya. For someone, or maybe a viewer is thinking to themselves, they might have some of the symptoms that we talked about this morning, but they're feeling this heaviness or this weight on them that says, it's my fault. I did something wrong. Can you speak to that a little bit, when a person might be feeling like, I did something wrong? Or I'm sure that there might have been times you thought that too. I did something wrong. Can you speak to that, to our viewers, concerning that?
Sure. It does come a time, perhaps, you may be feeling that, it's all your fault. No one likes me. What is another top one? I don't want to be with no one. No one cares. All those feelings, that comes with, the symptoms of mental health. It's a few of the symptoms that, that negative thinking. What I would do, and what I always encourage my peers to do, is, have a list ready of power statements to fall back on. Instead of saying, if you find yourself saying no one cares, well, have a list of people who you think care. And the best time to really write that list too is when you're not feeling that way.
Wow.
When you're feeling.
I think our Tanya has got...
really work with.
Well, we want to, yes, we want to just say to our viewers, I'm sure you understand in this new world of technology, people freeze up. But Tanya, before we go, if there is someone who is interested in our peer specialist program, how can they contact you, Tanya?
Yeah, if you could throw up the last slide for the second, can you see that? Okay. So it's very easy. You just contact Abilities in Motion. As Teresa said in the beginning of the presentation today, we are not at our office. We are not open for public at this time. However, one of the beauty things about peer support is I can still come out. We can still meet. We are
Wonderful.
still in the community. I'm still
Wonderful.
out there daily, helping people. Of course, with COVID restrictions and that whole deal.
That's good. Do you have a number they can contact you, Tanya, very quickly?
Yes, you can reach us at 610-376-0010, or you can also call me directly or text.
All right.
484-408-4756.
Listen, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being on our show today. Listen, if you're out there and you have questions, give us a call. But before we go, myself, Tanya, Elizabeth, we and Abilities in Motion want to wish you all a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a prosperous New Year. Most of all, be safe.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Disabilities Issues and Updates on BCTV is supported by the Berks County Center for Independent Living, Abilities in Motion.